me, a key takeaway from the discussions we've had today is that we need to put communities at the center of every discussion we have about cross-border cooperation or cross-border interaction. And communities here, I'm talking about borderlands communities, because a lot of times decisions are made without involving them. They are made on their behalf, and only certain actions are seen to be happening there, but they don't own those actions. So for me, it is important that we put at the center of these discussions and at the center of our researches the communities, to first understand what their real needs are, what are the real issues, not in theory, but basically what their lived experiences are in the borderlands. So for me, this is a critical key takeaway from this discussion. The observation I can make from the research we've been doing in the borderlands is that we need to be able to establish linkages between policy discussions at the regional level and policy actions at the community level. I say so because when we carried out our study, there's a lot of talk sometimes out there that, for example, informal cross-border trade causes insecurity in the borderlands, and yet it is not based on any empirical evidence from research. So for me, one thing I observe is that we need to do a bit more of getting the evidence from the ground before pronouncements like those can be made. So on my part, what we've been trying to establish is whether what happens in the borderlands has any relevance to the fears that people express at the national level. Fears of insecurity, people talk about them being centers of mobilization for violent extremism or international crime and all that and all that. It might be true, but it needs to be established beyond reasonable doubt that that is the reality. For policy actors at the regional level, actually all the way from national, regional to international level, one thing I would urge them is to consider moving down to the borderlands to listen more carefully to the communities about what they are saying, so that before they can make any policy pronouncements, then those pronouncements are informed by realities on the ground. That is one. The second thing is that there are many policies which have been made in the past, or they have been developed, but so many of them are not operational. Just because policy actors have not taken a bold step to ensure that they sign and ratify those policy decisions, for example, the Niamey Convention, and that they also domesticate the ones which are in place in their countries, nationally, and also internationally, that those policy actors need to think about how to facilitate partnership or implementation of these regional policies. It could either be through funding or supporting research or supporting implementation at the country level, but not just country level, but also regional level. Okay, for me, everyone has a role to play, and therefore everybody should be given a chance to speak, to be listened to be heard, so that they can make their interventions based on their experiences. If we make decisions without involving a wide cross-section of East Africans, people from borderlands, people from the capitals, people from other parts of the region, then we might be making a mistake, because we'll make decisions which are not informed. We can end up making decisions which are not owned by people. Because when you're making a policy action, when you're making a policy input, it means you are going to affect people, you are going to impact people. Before you can make that kind of a decision, then you need to embrace a wide manner of consultations, that you get to hear from as many people, as many stakeholders as are concerned with a particular matter. This time we are talking about stability, so that then we can be able to concretely make decisions which now bring stability in the region. My parting shot is that we all need to be intentional in terms of creating meaningful partnerships. We need to be very intentional in creating meaningful partnerships that work for the people in the borderlands, for the borderlands of Africa continent in particular.